Animusic, the special masterpieces that combine animation and music, obviously. The company of the same name was founded by Wayne Lytle, who composed all the music and directed all the cool 3D visualizations that came with the music. The first ever animation the company made was called Beyond the Walls, made in 1995, which had instruments playing the music from within some walls, hence the name Beyond the Walls. Then, the first album of the main Animusic animations, titled Animusic, was released in 2001, followed by Animusic 2 in 2005. These fascinating music videos with floating balls and drumsticks, guitars with arms, singing lasers, and more instruments that play themselves in curious ways are generated through MIDI files that guide the visualizations by instructing them how to be played, and the computer generates how the file is played through the animation. Nearly 2 decades later, there are still fans, myself included, who appreciate Animusic for how futuristic it looks and how fun the songs are. Today, I'm bringing back the fun memories of these musical sets by ranking the best Animusic songs. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 15, Gyro Drums. This animation shows some robots on metal rings that play a few dozen different types of drums and percussion. Wayne Lytle said in the director's commentary that this was definitely one of the most challenging animations to do, and I can see why. It's so hard to keep track of which drum plays in what key and so on. Wayne actually had to spread all the sounds across 2 MIDI keyboards and write different softwares to help him keep track of what all the drums sound like. I understand that this required so much work, and I'm glad that so much effort was put into this animation, but to me, it felt kind of too all over the place, and it's hard to keep a consistent beat with this music. I will admit that the time and concentration it took to put this all together impresses me. Plus, it was a nice touch to put in another percussion track in Animusic 2 after Animusic 1 had Drum Machine. Number 14, Harmonic Voltage. The video for this song takes place in what seems like a futuristic high-voltage area with double lasers that move along non-parallel rails, as well as drums with flowing drumsticks and plasma emitters for the bass. There's also an abstract bit of smoke in the background that changes shape depending on the synth chords. I agree, it was definitely fitting to have this piece as the last piece in the first album. However, I never liked the dangers of being around a high voltage area, so I guess that's one reason why I don't appreciate this piece as much as the others. But the song is still good enough that I can hum along to it, and that's the beauty of most of these pieces. Number 13, Fiber Bundles. In this animation, there's wires that connect to different instruments and devices. Then there's light that travels along those wires to eventually hit the instruments. I like the outer spacey kind of feel for this song and its animation, and I'm sure that's the vibe that most people get. In fact, Wayne Lytle describes the model set for this video as organic and alien, but still friendly and happy. This video was definitely one of his favorites. For me personally, I don't get as much of an Animusic feel for this song, probably because I'm more used to flowing drumsticks and the curious ways that instruments play, but this feels a little more obvious to me. But I'll still say I don't regret this being a part of the Animusic 2 set. Number 12, Drum Machine. This is another percussion-only track like Gyro Drums, as I mentioned earlier. The video for this contains many different types of drums, cymbals, cowbells, and other percussion instruments which are usually hit by a mallet or drumstick controlled by gears. There's also big gears that can be seen in the background that rotate and act as a downbeat for the track. This is the only Animusic video to have only one camera through the entire animation. My favorite part in the track is when the tempo switches to a faster pace after the crashed cymbals bring down the timpanis and other sets of drums and percussion instruments. While it's fun to tap your foot or nod your head to the beat of the gears, this hasn't quite made it to the top 10 Animusic pieces, probably because I prefer stuff with a melody. Number 11. Heavy Light. This is the last piece in the Animusic 2 set. It takes place on the top of what appears to be an ancient temple-like tower where light-based instruments come out of the ground. I guess the main reason that I don't appreciate this piece enough to be in the top 10 is because I want more variety than just lights. Although you gotta admit that it's interesting seeing how much music can play just from lights. Another reason I don't appreciate it enough is because this piece is bittersweet to me. It's the last Animusic piece we've gotten, and there hasn't been news for Animusic 3 in years. So this is the last piece of Animusic we get until by some miracle, Animusic 3 gets worked on again. Still, I'm not saying I hate this piece. The music and video are still pretty good. Number 10. Pogo Sticks. This animation from the second video album is kind of a sequel to stick figures from the first album. People really liked seeing the guitars with arms because they feel like actual characters in the Animusic universe, similar to some of the robots in other tracks. The guitars with arms are back, and they have wheels and bounce like pogo sticks to the beat of the music. Although the Animusic company isn't into character animation, these guitars, hand drums, cymbals, and xylophones are the most relatable characters in the series, and it was nice to see some quote-unquote character design for the Animusic series. Number 9. Starship Groove. This is the first animation for Animusic 2. In it, you are taken on a starship with robots that come out and either play a bass synth, a higher synth, or percussion. There's also some lights along the starship that sometimes flash in time with the music. The robots are another case of characters in Animusic. They require some secondary animation as they scoot along the floor, put their hands in the air, and things like the lighting and elevators also require some secondary animation as well, according to the director's commentary. This is definitely a groovy piece, fitting for the name Starship Groove, and I'm sure that this animation would be quite appealing to younger viewers, thus giving Animusic something for all ages. Number 8. Resonant Chamber. Here we got this insane instrument of a few guitars and strings all smushed together with some robotic arms to play on the strings. By far, the design for this animation is the wackiest and strangest one for Animusic, but I think that's the charm of some of the pieces in Animusic. The fact that it's so out there, and yet it can play sort of a serene song, is engaging to me. It draws me in and makes me want to believe that this instrument is a real thing and that it keeps playing this music. I love how realistic it looks despite it looking wacky and strange. Wayne Lytle said that this was the last piece that he wrote for Animusic 2 because he had troubles trying to write music to go with this model, but I think he did a very great job. Number 7. Pipe Dream 2. The Balls Bouncing Through Pipes machine makes its return in Animusic 2 after reviews asking if the same instruments and environment can be used to different MIDI files. That was the main purpose for Pipe Dream 2. There was also slightly more colorful lighting for this piece compared to the first Pipe Dream, as well as different camera movements. In both Pipe Dream animations, there's balls that pop out of pipes, hitting a few different kinds of instruments, and then the balls go into another pipe without touching the ground. That technique alone is so fascinating to me. I'm actually really glad that we got this sequel to the first Pipe Dream. Hearing something new from an environment we're all familiar with feels nice. Number 6. Cathedral Pictures. This is the first and only piece so far that goes with a pre-existing piece of music. The music is taken from Pictures at an Exhibition by Mussorgsky. This was also the first animation produced for Animusic 2. It was actually done by the request of HP when they asked Animusic to make an HD animation to a piece of classical music that most everyone is familiar with to help roll out some new digital projectors. I found it very interesting that Wayne Lytle chose to keep this piece in Animusic 2 despite the track using the tune to pre-existing music. Now this animation was actually what made me find out about Pictures and Exhibition. I didn't know the music before I first watched this animation, but now that I've heard it, I'm familiar with the tune now, and I'm always happy to hear the music being used in other pieces of media. Number 5. Acoustic Curves. This is the first finished animation for Animusic 1. Here we get sets of strings being plucked and hit with mallets, along with percussion and eventually a xylophone and tubular chimes. It's always fun to get instruments that just play themselves out and then play something catchy as it happened in this piece. Also, is it just me, or is the E-flat guitar string just fun to listen to and watch compared to the other notes? The melody to this music, at least after the section where they just play notes like crazy, is catchy and it's fun to hum along to. Number 4. Aqua Harp. The most mellow Animusic piece will definitely go to Aqua Harp. It consists of a harp being plucked by picks that has flutes on top of it, chimes on the bottom with mallets that hit them, a cello string on the left side with a bow, and a violin on the right side with a bow. And the reason it's named Aqua Harp is because of the water on the ground. I absolutely love this piece, not only for its soothing music, but for the pretty environment that the harp is enclosed in. It looks like it's outdoors, but Wayne Lytle says the walls are actually painted to have an evening outdoor feel, and the stars and the moon are on a domed ceiling similar to a planetarium. I used to know a little bit of this song on the piano. Eventually, I should get back into learning it so I can eventually fully play it on the piano. Number 3. Future Retro. This is the first piece in the Animusic set. You're in an area with big sound amplifiers and high voltage and electricity. There's a triple neck guitar with fingers and pipe flutes, a few singing lasers, and drums and chimes played by robot arms. The triple neck guitar is one of the most popular icons of Animusic. The music is also probably a great homage for the series. I especially enjoy the singing lasers in this one. It's gotten me to enjoy the singing lasers in other pieces as well. Also, the solo cams feature for this song on the DVD is a lot of fun. It helps me enjoy more every instrument that plays the music. This song feels modernized in a way so that there's something for everyone to enjoy even in this generation. Number 2. Stick Figures. This music video is the first appearance of the guitars with arms, or the stick, as Wayne Lytle calls them. Along with the stick that plays the bass, there's drums with floating drumsticks, 2 singing lasers, horns, a xylophone, some wooden flutes, and some more sticks that play a violin and a cello. The stick is potentially the mascot for Animusic. I remember drawing these guys when I was a lot younger. I love how each instrument has its own point of being in the audible spotlight, so to say. Like, you get a bit of the stick bass sticking out, then you get the horn sticking out for a bit, then the xylophone, flutes, and so on. Each instrument is important to each piece of music, and Animusic does an excellent job spotlighting them so that the listening experience is enhanced. Number 1. Pipe Dream. Fun fact, the first YouTube video I've ever watched was this song posted on the official Animusic channel. And this was the Animusic piece that started my and my family's love for the series. We were so impressed with Pipe Dream that that's how we discovered the rest of the Animusic series, and I'm sure as heck glad we did. Pipe Dream became so popular that 10 years after Animusic 1 came out, Intel made a demonstration with their atom-powered industrial controller to play a real-world version of the song. This bouncing ball concert is cleverly written out and planned. The music is fun, and the animation concept is really cool. This is definitely an iconic masterpiece that I'm sure could begin to drag anyone into the world of Animusic. And that's all the pieces for Animusic. Please watch all these pieces for yourself and let me know your thoughts on them. Do you have hopes for Animusic 3 to eventually be released? What are some of your favorite Animusic songs? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in another upload.